There's no sound at all for all? Okay. Okay, sorry. So as I said earlier, right, considering all these constraints, we started doing the requirement analysis, sorry, this SDLC process, right? So then again, if you come down, okay. So if you come down to the design part, so what should be present? What are the applications that should be used for developing this particular feature? So it can be a web application, it can be a database or a data warehouse, ETL process, reporting, or it can be a web services, or it can be also the automation of the testing. Okay. So these all will be defined in the design. So how do you do that? Okay, and then the implementation. Implementation is nothing but developers will develop the code. It can be a web application as discussed earlier or any other application as discussed. That's the implementation from the developer's perspective. Now coming from the testing perspective, we will start analyzing the requirements, create the test plan. Then these all points I will discuss in the later point, but on a high level I am discussing today. Okay, so they will create the test plan, then the test cases, they will create the test data. So once everything is in place, we will start testing only when the development is complete. Now this particular piece in this SDLC defines all the different types of SDLC processes we are having. Okay, so I'll discuss in this in the next slide. I don't worry about it. So the point is implementation defines the SDLC process. Okay, then comes the testing. So testing, once the build is built or the code is ready, we will start testing the requirement. Okay, and then if you find any defects, we will log it in any of the test management tool, and the developers take a look into it. If it's a valid one, they will fix it. Okay, and then we will retest it. Once that is done, we will deploy it to the production or the live. Before that, we will do an UAT testing, but on a high level, we are not worried about it here. So once that is done, once it is in production, the new requirements get added. So again, the evolution starts. So that cycle, it's a cycle. Okay, we will not stop with a simple requirement, right? The requirements or the features keep on changing. So that's the reason it's an SDLC lifecycle. Now, if we break the entire SDLC phases, right? The first one will be formation phase. One will be the formation, where a rough order of magnitude, or what do you say, if you call the project, a rough description about what is required in the, what should be present in the particular project will be defined. It's like you sit and say that, hey, I want all these requirements in my application. Whether it's feasible or not, that's the part in the design phase. Okay, but they will say this is what I require. So that part will be done in the phase one. Now once that is done, then they'll start analyzing the requirements. So which is what will be the functional requirement, what will be the technical requirement. So functional requirement is something which we see in the front end, which the end users will be using. Okay. So a simple example is, let's take Gmail. So Gmail client is the facing to all the customers. But if you see the back end, so it has inbox, compose, etc. So these are all functional requirements. Now if you see the technical requirement, the technical requirement is how should be that functional requirements be developed, what should be the code, whether we should use a Java, whether we should use Java or .NET or any other coding language. And then what should be the database, whether it's an Oracle database or it's an SQL server or it's a Teradata, Siebel, etc. So all these technical requirements will be defined in the requirement plan or planning. And then who will be approving the requirement? So once the stakeholders or stakeholders will be the one who are the providers to the end users, right? So that is nothing but the client. And once that is done, they will draft the statement of work. Statement of work is nothing but the requirement specification document that will be given to the developers or and testers in order to develop the software project. So that is the requirement or planning phase. Then comes the design. Now in the planning phase, we have defined it on a high level. Now when we break it into bits and pieces, right, then comes the issue. How do you integrate it? Whether the if you say if you take if you take a database, Oracle database is, though it is free, it comes with some charges when you find any issue, and that is very high. But when you come to Teradata is costlier, but it's a one-time investment. After that, the support will be easy. So now, when you take millions of records, fetching the data from Teradata is very easy than Oracle. So from the planning or requirement point, they have already defined what should be the tool that should be used in the technical requirements. But when you start designing it, you will obviously face the issues, right? So that sort of analysis or that sort of things will be done in the design phase. And then they will design in the design phase, they will define the workflows in the sense, say suppose Gmail is there, what should be the first page? The first page should be the login page, and then it should go to the landing page. In landing page, you have inbox, compose, your spam mails, deleted mails, sent mails, right? So when I click on inbox, I should be able to see all my messages. So this is the workflow that is present. So your design or your development should follow the same structure. You cannot do things random. So that will be defined in the design phase, and they will work accordingly. Then the construct. Construct is nothing but they will start coding the things. So how do you do it and blah blah blah. So after that is done, then the code reviews happen. Code review is nothing but I have written a code. Someone should see into the code and say that, hey, this is how it should work. You have done it in a different way. So someone who knows about the code, he will do the code review, and it would be generally the peers. Okay. Any questions so far? Am I going fast? I mean, do you want me to slow down? You can ping me. Okay. So can I continue? Okay. Thank you. So then starts the testing phase. So this is what we are all interested about, the testing. So in the testing, now it is quite different to what the development phase is all about. So we will analyze the requirements in our own way. So people may say we should do things in this way, but it is our capability or it is our understanding about the system that matters most, and it should be in sync with the client's requirement. So an example is uh, a developer may think that creating a compose page can be done only by clicking on the compose link that is present. So it should be open. It should open in a new page considering the security issues. That is his design idea about the compose page in a Gmail application. But we can do it having in the same page itself. We can see it in the bottom screen, right bottom screen of the Gmail application, or it can open in a new window also, or sorry, new page, sorry, new window page, right? So, but user said that I can, it should be very easy for me. I can see it on the bottom screen, right bottom screen of the right bottom of the screen. So, but due to design constraint, they haven't done that. Now, it is the testers who have to raise the alarm saying that this is what client requirement is and you have done it in a wrong way. So if you see, how a developer thinks and how a tester thinks will be different. So that's the reason we have our own set of system testing definition that is done here. Okay, and once that is done, we will summarize how the end-to-end testing will be done. Okay, all these metrics like the test plan, test case preparation, test data preparation will all come under the testing phase. Now once that is done, we will go for the acceptance testing or the user. Before the end user uses it, the client will test it whether it is as per their requirement or not, because they are the ones at the end who will be using it, right? So we have to do an user acceptance testing, document it, and then release it to the production. Once it is released to production, right, in the production we may find any issues. Okay, so that should be notified again to the design team, where they will sit and say that no, this is what the requirement is, but the end users are looking it in a different way, and they will redesign whatever they have done. Once the redesign is done, they will construct it again and then give it to testing, and again the pre-production will activities will happen and will be reduced to production. So that's how a normal or a typical software development lifecycle will be. Now, in addition to all these, right, there's every need of training, documentation, and change control process. So, what is the purpose of having training? So, say I'm a manual tester, but the client requirement is they want to do the performance testing also. So, am I ready to do the testing, performance testing? No, right? So that's the reason there's a need of training in light to the production, sorry, the design requirements, the technical requirements. It can be technical requirements or the business requirement analysis also. Because people with, say suppose I'm not having any idea about how the Gmail will be there, Gmail will be used. So if I blindly test, I may not cover the entire test cases. So that's the reason I need to have a training on, I need to take the training on the application or the requirements of the application. Okay. And from the design perspective or development perspective, the developers need to know about the tools. So what are the additions in the tool, any changes to the tool or a new tool, right? So that comes under the training part. Now the main thing is documentation. Say suppose today I am working in this project and I have resigned. A new person will come. So how will he handle, how will he know what was done earlier? So he will be having no clue, right? So that's the reason everything we do, we document it. What we call it as storytelling. Okay. So this documentation also plays a major role in SDLC. And the last but not the least is change control process. So today I have developed a feature and tomorrow I have changed it. Now how will I keep track that these are the changes that are done? And if I have to roll back, where will I see the old code, right? So that's where the concept of versioning has come into place. So change control process will handle that. Okay. So this is what on a high level an SDLC process is all about. Any questions so far? Okay. Now, the SDLC process, as I said earlier, right, during the design and testing phase, it defines the different SDLC models that we are having. So in the industry, widely we use Waterfall Model, VModel, and now the Agile model has come into place. Okay. So what is a Waterfall Model? Waterfall model is nothing but it is like if you see a waterfall, right? Everything falls into place. Everything works in tandem, or say suppose the requirement analysis, testing, requirement analysis, coding, design, testing, pre-production and post-production activities. They all work in a serial way, and there will be link between both of them. So which means if a developer works on his own and a tester works on his own, it is not a viable option, because what I do and what a QA does and what a developer does will be different. But we should have a common understanding or sync between both of them in order to do the complete process. So that is nothing but the waterfall model. So this is started in 1970. So it's like this. So user give the requirements and they are documented. Software requirements, they are documented. So all the everything is done in a sequential way. Okay. So if you have to say, if I have to find out what is the if I say there's a design, I will be very easily I will be able to say where the issue is gone. So say suppose I have done a requirement, okay, and I have tested it. Now in this model, right, I'll find out where the exact issue is all about. Okay, so that's the advantage of having waterfall cycle. So the advantages are it's easy to understand. Again, I'm reiterating, don't worry about the type of model. It's just that how you do the things is different between the multiple models. It has nothing to do from a testing perspective, or we are not the ones who will be define what will be the model. Okay, we will just execute it. Okay. So the advantages are it is very easy to understand and it's a widely used and known theory for all, because based on its advantage. The advantage is both the developers and testers will be working in hand, right? So that's the advantage of having the waterfall model. So this enforces the good habits. Good habits in the sense, during the requirement analysis, if say suppose developer is working independently and tester is working independently. Now developer understood the requirement in one way, tester understood the requirement in another way. There is no sync between both of them, right? So now if they have developed the project, developers have developed the project based on their understanding, testers have written the test cases based on their understanding. Both are working in parallel, and when the code comes, what a tester is thinking and what a developer is thinking is different. Now the entire effort is wasted, right? So you have to go back again to the requirement analysis, do again the what do you say, rethink about what should be done, how it should be done, and you again fix it. So that's a problem, right? So that can be covered or mitigated using this waterfall model, where testers and developers go hand in hand. Okay. This will identify the deliverables and milestones in an efficient manner. That's how all the SDLC processes, but that's one advantage of waterfall model. So this is all documented, right? So obviously it would be helpful for us. So the standards will be followed, and if any issue is there, I can say, hey boss, this is what written in the document. I have done as per the document. Okay, it's just by having the verbal discussion we cannot develop any project, right? So everything documented will help us a lot. And obviously this is mature because everything is documented. Even the team is, if the team is not capable of doing, we can pinpoint and say that, hey, this requirement is developed by this particular developer. He is the culprit, or he is the person who tested it. He is the culprit. So we can directly go to the area of issue and we can resolve it as a, okay. That's the advantage of having waterfall model. Now the disadvantage is it's not see it's in an ideal world all can we cannot document everything, right? So at times we overlook all these things. So ideally we cannot do all the follow this waterfall model. We are agile and fragile these days, right? So that's the disadvantage with waterfall model. Disadvantages more from the person's perspective, in the sense personally we don't like to document everything, or we may not find time to document everything. So it takes a lot of time, right? So a lot of time is it's money actually, right? So everything is money. So when money is gone for non fruitful activities, it's a loss for the client, right? So ideally we don't match. This model doesn't match to the reality world. And now the iterativeness, in the sense, if you have to do things again and then again, it doesn't allow you. Like if you say, I have found an issue here, okay, and I have break a requirement into one, two, three phases. Suppose first page will be the, say example for example, in Gmail, first page will be login page, and then is the landing page, and then is the inbox. So this is how I have defined. So in the first cycle, I am developing only login page. Now say suppose I have to have, uh, then the second phase will be the inbox, or sorry, the landing page. In the landing page, before the landing page, I want to have some advertisement saying that, hey, we have this new feature in Gmail. Do you want to look into it? So I am not able to, now that I have already defined phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, I cannot implant a new requirement in the middle. For that I have to take a lot of approvals. Got it? So that's the exploratory development is not, what do you say, feasible in this particular waterfall model. It's very unrealistic to expect accurate requirements, right? So say suppose initially I thought I should have landing so login page, then the landing page, and then the inbox. Middle of my development, I thought that why I should go directly into the landing page. Let's have some advertisement saying that, hey, these are all the apps. If you subscribe to them, it would be an advantage. So that sort of, what do you say, accurate requirements will not develop, right, in the initial phase. So you have to redesign everything. So that's the disadvantage in waterfall model. Now, by following all these process, right? Obviously, for obvious reasons, the development will take some time, right? So there will be a lot of delay in software project getting into the life. Okay. And then is the V model. V model, as I said earlier, right? Before waterfall model, say requirement product developers are working separately, and testers are working separately. Okay, both are not dependent. Okay, so they are working parallelly, they are not working in tandem. So then what happens, the once the code is given, what a product development is thinking and what a tester is thinking will be different. So there will be a rework again. So that's the problem with V-shaped V model. Okay. So in order to resolve that, we came up with the waterfall model. So now the advantages of V-shaped model is you do the verification and validation in early stages of the project. Okay. So every every deliverable will be tested here. Okay. And then you can track the process using the milestones. Say that this is what we are developing, blah 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 kind of thing. So that's the advantage of V model. Weakness is we cannot easily handle the concurrent events. Like once a development requirement is analyzed, and then what do you say, it is said that yes, this is the end requirement. Only then we have to start in V model. Okay. Uh, so if at all, if I have to do testing during the first phase, say suppose the the requirement in the cycle 1 is I should have a login page. Okay. And then in the login page I should have a username, password, sign in as a different user, forgot password. Now what happens is when the entire code is developed, then only I can test it. But say if suppose in my username and password, the requirement for password is it should be accept only special characteristics. Okay, so now that piece of code is developed, and if it is being tested, the developers can work on the sign in as a different user or a forgot password, right? Because these two are two different entities, they don't have any direct relationship, right? So that sort of easiness will not be given in V model. Got it? So that's the disadvantage of having V model. And again, as same as waterfall model, it doesn't handle the dynamic changes in the requirement. Now when will we use this V-shaped model is when all the requirements are freezed. Say suppose the client is sure about what is the requirement, then in that situation we should go for V-shaped model. Okay. So if client is sure of what is required, then only. So simple one is when they know the solution, when they know the technology, then only we should go for V model. And ideally, in the real world, it doesn't happen that way. There's the agile model actually, which is now widely used in the worldwide. So that I will discuss on the Monday session. So the next one will be the capability model. So any company which is following this SDLC process is has to what do you say, document everything, and we should define any company based on the maturity that they are using in this SDLC. So that's where a quality process has definition has come into place, which we call it as capability maturity model. So even in SDLC also, okay, not as I said earlier, right? Not it's not an ideal world. People may not have time to document everything. But for any ideal client or any ideal person, they would like to know how much ideal any process being implemented in any of the company. So that's the reason they come up with this CMM thing. Okay, so CMM will have its own metrics. They have their key process areas, which will define what a company is. So on a high level, they have defined the 5 levels: level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. CMM level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what an CMM level 1 means? It's an initial thing where you don't document everything. You do based on mails or verbal communication, and you develop and test accordingly. Now, as I said earlier, right? If any issue comes, what happens? You have to rework. You will start the blame game. You don't know who has done the project, who because of whom the change requirements have changed, right? So that's the problem with CMM level 1. And 70% of the companies worldwide will come under CMM level 1. Okay. Now, what CMM level 2 is, you it's nothing but the next level to this initial CMM level 1, where you have little process on the configuration management, quality assurance, project tracking and oversight, project planning and requirement management. So you know who is the person who is responsible for all these 5 activities. So that's CMM level 2, and 15% of the companies worldwide are following CMM level 2. Now the next level to CMM level 2 is CMM level 3, where you have defined. So this is the say suppose I am the manager, and my under me there are 3 designers and 2 testers. For the 3 designers, there will be development lead, and for 2 testers there will be test lead. So this type of structure will be defined in CMM level 3, where the activities of every person will be reviewed by a peer and then by the manager. Okay, so that peer reviews are available, and then intergroup coordination. So if I'm testing, I should know who my developer is. So this type of mapping between the cross teams will be defined in CMM level 3. and product engineering. So how to test, how to develop, what should be the next of once the development is completed. So all these sort of definitions will be given in software product engineering. And then integrated software management. So UI is developed by one person, database design is done by the another person, a data warehouse or ETL process is defined by the other person. So, but all these three should go hand in hand. So how to integrate them, all the definition will be given in CMM, this integrated software management. And again, as I said, trainings. So all the training information, what are the strengths and weakness, everything will be defined here. The organization process. So once the code is developed and it is being tested and it says successful, who is the person who will hand over it to the client, right? Who will interact with the client, and that person should know the end to end of the business or end to end of the process, right? So that sort of definition will be given in organization process definition. And the focus. So now once everything is done, you should know the pros and cons about it, and you should educate the client. Hey, this is what we understood from this requirement, but this may impact your next process, or sorry, next project or next feature that is getting added. So that sort of understanding, that sort of maturity, if the organization or the persons in the organization have, then that will come under level 3. So it's sort of defined. Okay, there's no there is a little repetition here. Okay, and in worldwide there are only less than 10% of companies who are under level 3. And the level 4 is quality. Apart from all these things that are mentioned in 1, 2 and 3, right, 4 has an extra advantage, like there the complete quality is managed. So suppose they will start creating their own test case format or test plan format or requirement format, unit test cases format. So they will define the flow, how a test case should be, coverage should be, or how a test should be planned, right? So those all these documents, or what do you say, the processes will be defined in the CMM level 4. And quantitative process. Say suppose today there are 2 testers and a new requirement or an extra requirement is coming. So how many more persons should be added? So they should be knowing, they should have a fixed algorithm or a fixed process where they can add or reduce the resources that should be available in any project. So that structural way of defining that algorithm will be present in CMM level 4. We cannot add just like that, right? Any new resource, or just like that we cannot reduce any resource. So that's CMM level 4, and 5% of the companies are following CMM level 4. The final one is the CMM level 5. 5I is also there. So 5 is, you have, apart from all these that are mentioned in 1, 2 and 3 and 4, the extra thing is process change management. There's suddenly there's a change in requirement. How do you mitigate that? Uh, Say suppose today, one simple example is, in my current project we are using OBI reports, and that is mainly on the data warehouse. The data comes from data warehouse. Now there's a business requirement where directly from the database I should fetch reports. So using heavy tools like OBI on database, because that's a live transactional processing system, right? So that is not a viable option. So for that they came up with the new tool called as ClickView, where it is lighter in version and it takes minimal performance degradation activities on the OLTP system. Now, on a sudden, if a new requirement comes, what should I do? That comes under the technology change management. So how do you mitigate that? On hand, I should have a person who is already well versed with ClickView, right? In the other versions, I don't have any backup resource or a person who is having well versed with the technology. But in CMM level 5,
They maintain the bench strength. That's called as bench strength. So that's the technology change management. And accordingly, they will do the trainings. The other thing is they will do the training, etc. etc. Now the process change management is, so today I am having a centralized model. Say suppose centralized model is all the testers will come under the respective development leads. Say suppose database developers are there, the testers will work under the developers itself, the development team. Now, what is the advantage and disadvantage of that? So you have to work according to the development manager's need. So if suppose he says this is not a defect, you have to argue with him, and that will create a what do you say, a rigidness in the system or in the project. Right? In order to do that, any person or any client will go for an independent QA model. So what is happening? Earlier the process was centralized. Now they are decentralizing it. So these sorts of process change management, the company will be ready. So they will be ready to accept these process changes. And defect prevention. Say suppose client has given the requirement and you know that that's a fault requirement. If it is done in that way or if it is done designed in that way, there will be flaws in that flaws. One simple classic example is way back there was a banking firm where NEFT transfers have to what is for every NEFT transfers initially some amount of tax was being collected and or some amount of fees was being collected, and that should go to the respective current account. But what happened is a developer has given his account instead of the current account of the company. So all the fees was going to him, or he used to split the fees. So that way there were a lot of leakages. So in the design they said that amount should go to a current account, but they didn't mention to which, or they didn't mention about any what do you say security process where if it has first go to the account, then it will get an OTP, and based on OTP then the transfer will happen. So that sort of prevention was not given in the design. So, and in any industry expert or anyone who knows about the business, only those people can analyze this and they will come up with the solution for that design. So that sort of defect prevention capability will be defined in CMM level 5. Okay. So this is on a high level the process, the SDLC process, whatever is the fall or whatever is the model, whether it's a waterfall model, whether it's an V model, whether it's an CORD model, or whether it's an agile process, anything will come under this CMM level 5. Okay. So it's just that you are what is it, compacting, or you are making sure everything will fall in place correct in a correct manner. Okay. So this is on a high level what an SDLC is. I'm done for the day. Any questions? I am unmuting all. If any questions, just please raise a hand. You can ping me on the chat also.
Ali, the training will start after this session actually. Once QA is completed, they start Selenium training. Any other questions, please? Okay, so from Monday, we will start the actual QA activities. So far, we have discussed on the SDLC process. The last thing will be we will discussing on agile model, and once that is done, we will start on the QA activities. Okay. Yeah, I'll share this document with you all. Okay, it will be present in the shared folder. Uh, Yes. Okay. It will be shared in the folder, and it would be placed in the website under the document section. Okay. Uh, Anything else? Okay. Uh, See you all on Monday then. Okay. Thank you. Good day and good night. Oh, sorry. Uh, Karthik is saying, where can I find the yesterday's class? It's shared under. It will be shared under YouTube as well as the website. We will send out a mail, a separate mail to you all. Okay, the team will send you a mail. Karthik, did it answer? Okay. Devi is asking on what basis they choose which approach is best for the waterfall or agile. Yeah, that's the tricky part actually for any company. So if you say any startup, they are not clear on the requirement, right? In such situation, they'll go for an agile model because agile will help you to do things in an unstructured way, but they will quantify and qualify everything, and they will document everything in agile model. Again, this will be discussed in detail in the Monday's class, as well as I'll show you an example. We will do it by an example, not like the theory way. Okay. So what model should be followed will be defined based on the understanding the requirement, so the technology constraints, the money constraints, the resource constraints. All this will define the type of model they have to use. Okay, we'll do an example on it. That is in the cards. So David answered your question. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. If any questions are there, right? Please, please ask in the blog or the website where we have the forum for discussion. Okay. I'll be happy to answer you all that. Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll meet you on Monday then. Bye.